You're listening to the weekly Parsha podcast recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in Ramat Beit Shemesh, Israel, 57/77/2017. This week's Parsha is Parshas Matos and Masei. We have two Parshas this week. And Parshas Matos begins with the power of speech, begins with the concept of Nedarim, the possibility for the human being to create an Isser, to create a prohibition. Just like the Torah tells us certain things are permitted, certain things are forbidden. For example, we're not allowed to eat milk and meat together. We're not allowed to eat certain animals. So too, a person has the ability to create a chalais Isser, to say that a certain thing is forbidden. Shows you the power of a person's speech. The idea of Nedarim, something that we usually speak about when we get to Yom Kippur. The gravity of speech, it's something that we speak about the night of Yom Kippur, Kol Nidrei. We speak of all of the Nedarim that we've made or we plan to make. I'd like to share with you again from Reb Chaim Friedlander, and this week I'd like to actually read the Sefer inside, learn it together with you, and see amazing concepts that he's going to teach us. It says like this, that we find that there's an idea that whatever a person says, he must do. If he makes a neder, if he makes a commitment to God, a vow, he has to fulfill it. The power of speech. Otzmat koach hadibur. The power of speech. Parshas Nedarim lomdim anu as kedushas hadibur v'otzmaso. From the Parsha, the concept of Nedarim, we learn the holiness of speech and its intense power. It's possible for a person to prohibit upon himself something which is permitted. And through this, he gets an exhortation by the Torah, lo yachal dvaro, that he's not allowed to make his words profane. Whatever he has promised to do, he must do. A person can't make his words to be something which isn't holy. A person's speech has the ability to create a new prohibition. And so too when it comes to speech, it's possible to place holiness on a certain object. That until this moment it wasn't holy at all. The prohibitions that are created through his speech express for us the power of speech. That a person through his speech, he creates a new reality of prohibition or holiness. We don't have a proper awareness when it comes to the power of speech. We live in a world which is physical. We give a lot of importance to action. It's something that we see. But we don't give at all. We don't give any credence or any significance to speech. When we look, we see that words just seem to be something, when we look at it with our eyes, that it's just an expression of the pronunciation of our mouth, or it's just speech, it's just talking. But we don't see the results of the action of speaking. At the time that the Torah was given, when the Jewish people rose up in their level, the verse says, it says, all of the nation were able to see, the entire Jewish people was able to see the sounds. Darshu Chazal, our sages tell us, they were able to see that which is heard. At the time of the giving of the Torah, the Jewish people rose up in their spiritual level. The verse tells us that God speaks to the Jewish people as if they were godly, and they were those who were raised up. To the point where we reached a level, as the verse tells us, that Hashem spoke to us face to face. They were on a very high level, a very high spiritual level, and therefore they were able to see the sounds. Like a spiritual reality which can be seen with the eyes. Usually by a human being, we don't see the sounds, we just hear them. Hashem gave the person, the human being, the power of speech. she'al yadai hu yotzer metzius ruchonis kechalesi ser kedusha, through which a person, with his power of speech, can create a new spiritual reality, like creating a prohibition or something that's holy. Hayetzira ruchnis hi mamashus. The creation of something spiritual also has substance to it. This for us is a way that we can see the power of the human speech, the intense power of the human being. It's no less than a reality, than an action. When it comes to action, so we see it, we see the results, we see that there's a physical reality. But speech is something which has a spiritual reality. We need to try to understand this concept, to look into its depth, to understand the reality of a person's speech. He continues, the person became a living creature. So that indicates, it's a verse in Genesis, it speaks about the fact that there's knowledge, there's understanding, and there's speech. The power of speech is something that man received at the beginning of his creation, like the verse says in Genesis chapter 2 verse 7. God created the human being, dust from the earth. God blew into his nostrils a soul of life. Human being became alive. Because of that soul, the life-giving soul, he becomes a living, breathing creature. Because of Rashi tells us, what does it mean, lenefesh chaya? What does it mean, a living soul? Don't we find that animals as well are also called living soul? However, the thing that's different about the human being is that he has knowledge, he has understanding, he has wisdom, and he has speech. An animal also has a spirit that animates it. The novelty of the human being's special spirit is that he also has knowledge and speech. The understanding, the definition of the soul that gives life to the human being is different than the soul that gives life to an animal. Because for the human being, it indicates that he has the ability to speak. The human being became a speaking spirit. Ruach hadibur, the wind of speech, or the soul of speech. Hanishmas chaim shenofach, the soul which God blew into the human being. Man de nafach midilei nafach, God blew into the human being from himself. But adam mahuso ruach mamalala. When it comes to the essence of the human being, it's his ability to speak. Hadibur eina meshamish rak ke'emtzai tiksharis lavir meida ben anashim. Speech is not just something which is a means in order to communicate, to bring across information between people. You don't need to be able to speak in order to communicate. Even animals, they also have different ways of communicating, where they transfer information from one to the other. The speech is something which is a spiritual power, an awesome spiritual power that goes to the root of the soul. It's the power of creating a spiritual reality which is given over to the human being. When God created the world, he did it with speech. The world was created with 10 statements. He spoke, and it was. He commanded, and it stood. The verse tells us, both of these verses in Psalms, that with the word of Hashem, the heavens were created. And not just his creation, but the fact that it continues to exist is with the power of God's speech. The verse says, forever, God, your word stands in the heavens. The word that God spoke was not in order to give over information. It already says on the first day, God said, let there be light, and there was light. It wasn't that God required to give over information. The angels, if there would be anyone to communicate with, it might be the angels, but they were only created on the second day. On that first day, God was alone in the world. But the speech served to create, as a goal for the creation itself of that thing and that which keeps it alive. However, God does not require any means, even those of speech. And the speech of God is not the same as a human being's speech. It's a description which is much higher than any speech of the human being. The speech itself is also something which God created to have power in the world, and He used it in order to create, so that we can understand that speech is something which has intense power, the power to create worlds. Reb Chaim Friedlander continues to speak about this amazing idea. The power of speech is equal to the creation of the world. We find that our sages define that the power of speech that a person has, that a human being has, is equal to the creation of the world. They say this. Amar Bicham Bar Chanina Kasha Glifas Vasayim. Bicham Bar Chanina says that the creations of the lips are very powerful. They're very significant. It's equal to the creation of the world. In regards to the creation of the world, so the verse tells us that these are the results, or these are the offspring of the heavens and the earth when they were created. These are the stories. In regards to the power of speech, the verse tells us, God created the beauty of the lips, the ability to speak, to say things eloquently. This was something which was given to the human being through the power of creation. Amar Shmuel Bar Nachman says, if you want to understand the power of speech, that which God created with the tongue has the ability to speak. There are times when a person speaks and he bends his tongue. And there are times when a person uses the tongue, stretches it out to his teeth. He says here in parentheses, there are 5 different places where sound comes out of the mouth. Every single word is a combination of many different places inside of the mouth. We find that it's possible in one word to have 11 different movements, mishamshim, that are involved. Like the verse says, there are 11 different movements in the tongue. So we see an amazing thing in regards to the tongue, the power of speech. There's so much movement and it happens in a fraction of a second without even thinking about it. We don't even pay attention to how much power there is in the different locations of the mouth, which we need to activate when we speak. The speech doesn't just come out of the mouth on its own. It's an amazing power. It's an amazing accomplishment. The significance of speech was expressed by our sages. The weight of the concept of speech is equal to the creation of the world. It's not just that it's complicated to be able to move the tongue around, to be able to accomplish these sounds. The results of speech also are significant, like the creation of the world. Just like when it comes to the creation of the world, it says, these are the results, that which was created by God, the heavens and the earth. In regards to the eloquence of speech, the Torah uses the word that God created it. It's the same type. It's teaching us that it's the same idea. The incredible power of speech, which is equal to the creation of the world. That's a power that the human being receives. This is what our sages said. When a person is praying and there's movement of his mouth and there's speech which comes out, how many malachim, they open up their wings, they spread their wings and their mouths in order to receive it. God takes these words and he builds worlds with the words. Like the verse speaks about the new heaven, the new earth that God is making. And it's the secret of the power of speech. I will place my word in your mouth, God says, when in speaking to his prophets. With the shade of my hand I have covered you, to plant the heavens, to found the earth. To say to Zion, you are my nation. Don't read it, Ami, my nation, Elohimi. Rather read it, you are with me. You are my partner. Al Yedei Hadibur, through speech, a person becomes a partner with God in creating the world and continuing to cause it to exist. And I'm going to skip here because I don't have the time to be able to read through the entire piece. It's a beautiful piece. I'm going to skip towards the end so we can wrap up and have our lesson to take with us. The effect of speech corresponds to the level of the human being, to the person. When it comes to creating worlds, building the world, which is affected through speech, it depends on the person, the level of the person. A simpler person also has power in his speech. But certainly, to the extent that a person is greater, his speech also has greater holiness. And with this power, so he also has a greater effect on the spiritual realms, on a higher level. Also, when it comes to the vows, a woman doesn't have the ability, when she's married, to create a reality without the permission of her husband. A wise person, a person who's a Torah scholar, has the ability to uproot anyone's neder, anyone's vow. He uproots the speech. Through the uprooting, which is possible with a chacham, so it shows us that the original statement was made without knowledge. When there's a disconnect between the knowledge and the speech, so when he feels bad about what he originally said, he wishes he hadn't said that. He gives an expression to his speech that it wasn't a complete decision, and it wasn't truly honest. So the speech that he said doesn't have that same reality in creation. This is something that we also learn from the prayer that we say on Yom Kippur, Kol Nidre, Yom Kippur, which we say at the beginning of Yom Kippur. It's a funny time to be talking about vows on this holy day. This is coming to teach us how great is the power of speech. We are aware of the obligation that we have to do tshuva when it comes to our actions. We're not so aware when it comes to doing tshuva, repenting, when it comes to the power of our speech. Chazal Amar, our sages tell us, we find in regards to Jacob, how many difficulties happened because he pushed off his vow. Yaakov made a vow, and he said, if God will be with me, I will not stumble in idolatry. I'm with you. God says, I'm with you. Shmorani, if God protects me from being involved in licentious behavior, God says, I will protect you. On this path that I'm going, meaning if God is going to protect me from shvichus damim, from causing death or being killed, the verse says, don't go with them. So what do we see? We see he made a vow that he was not going to be involved in these three things. But that's not what happened. He pushed off his nether. He failed in all three of them. The verse says that he had to instruct his children to get rid of all of these idolatries, of the idols. He had to bury them. What happened? His daughter ended up being raped by Shechem. How do we know that there was also a problem when it came to murder? We find that there was a problem in that regard as well. We need to understand that when our sages say something, it's not to be taken literally on a simple level. Jacob was on his very, very high level. So when we speak about him, we speak about a tzaddik. So we have to be careful how we speak. But what do we see? We see that there was something that happened that he lost out in all three of them. Speech has the potential to cause a person to rise up and to fall down. But it depends. A person keeps his nether, a person is committed in his speech, a person is realistic about his commitment and what he says he's going to do, can raise him up. But if he is not in that level of commitment and he makes a commitment, so it can cause him to fall very far. A person who's not careful about speech can cause a very great blemish to very dire levels. So just to wrap up here, we'll just read the end. The significance of speech and its importance, its weight. He wraps up and says, from the Parsha of Dharma we learn the power of speech, which is the power of creation. Like our sages say, Ami shutfidili, my nation is my shutav, it's my partner. That, as it were, we are partners with God through our speech in the creation. All of this idea, we become partners with God. Unbelievable idea. With our speech, we also create worlds. We also give continued existence to the world. We need to be awakened to think, to understand what the human being's speech can do, what it can accomplish, what it can create. Person needs to pay attention to the significance of speech. To know that every word that comes out of his mouth, the effect that it has on the spiritual and physical creation. To use the power of speech only or mainly for matters of holiness and service of God. What is a person's job in this world? He should make himself mute. This is the service of God, which is something that requires learning, studying, and by doing so, a person becomes a partner with God in order to create the world. And it's an amazing thing that we see. I just want to point out on that previous point, which was the power of a nether, of a vow, of a commitment. It's important to be realistic. Sometimes, we go to the edge and we fall off the edge, and sometimes we go to the edge and we need to know what our boundaries are. It's important to be able to find that. But we need to know, we make a nether, we make a vow, or we make a commitment to God or to ourselves or to our family. We need to make sure it's realistic, and we need to not lose out as a result of it. We have great power in making that commitment. We need to make sure our commitments are real. So I want to bless you. Hashem should bless all of us please bless me, that we should be able to recognize the amazing power of speech. Should help us to use that speech in our commitment to God, in our commitment to Ruchnius, our spirituality. It should continue to raise us up to the highest levels. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos. This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.